This man has been trying to leave the island, but every time, he's been stopped by this red turtle. It uses its hard shell to destroy the raft. He thought he was about to be attacked too. The red turtle stops, looking at him in fear. The red turtle chooses to leave. The man wonders why it stopped him from leaving. The man was filled with hatred for it. He roared at the sea. Just then, he saw the red turtle crawling up the beach. The man felt he had a chance to let his anger out, so he quickly ran down the cliff, and got a stick and beat it against its solid shell. But it didn't do much damage to the red turtle, so he turned it inside out. So he flipped the turtle upside down. Then he jumped up and spit on it, to get a good dose of the sun's heat. And yet, even without the red turtle, the man still couldn't escape the island, and he didn't hate it so much. Instead, he slowly began to regret what he had done. As time passes, loneliness made him decide to be friendly with the red turtle. He could no longer move its body. A sense of helplessness makes him fumble. He's going to the beach to fetch water for him, and pouring it into his mouth. But nothing seems to work. Panting, the man knelt in front of it and cried. Maybe the island was the man's home, but he was too young to realize it. He didn't think he needed it either. Suddenly, one night, the man heard a cracking sound, and when he looked closer, he realized it was the shell of a red sea turtle cracking. At that moment, the man felt like a lonely seabird. The sea would be his only companion. But when he looked back at the red sea turtle, he found an amazing sight. He couldn't believe what he saw. The man touched her arm. It turns out there was a beautiful woman underneath. He turned his head and listened for a heartbeat. He took a bamboo tube and brought her water, but the woman didn't respond. Until the morning sun rose, she didn't wake up. The man was worried that she would be burned by the sun. He went to the bamboo forest and found some branches to create a shade for her. Looking at her tired face, the man's heart was filled with indescribable feelings. From then on, he didn't build another raft to go out to sea. Instead, he surrounded her every day and took good care of her. Maybe he had a place to put his emotions and heart. He had a place to belong, so he could enjoy the beautiful scenery from afar. On this day, it was raining lightly on the island. The man wanted to find a branch to protect her from the rain, but when the woman touched the rain, she woke up. She had the consciousness and mind of a human being. She hid in fear of further violence from the man. When the man realized she was gone, he searched everywhere, but he searched the entire island without finding the woman. One morning, he woke up on the beach. The figure in the sea was the redhead. He realized that she probably had no clothes on, so she hid in the sea. The man signaled her not to be afraid. He took off his shirt and put it on the beach. Then he went into the bamboo forest alone. He climbed up to where he first saw the red turtle. As he looked around, it was just as he thought it would be. He saw the red-haired woman again. He was dragging his shell into the sea. The moment the man's eyes met hers, it was like a call from within. He immediately rushed down to meet her. The red-haired woman looked at him, and then she pushed the shell into the distance. This may be her way of telling the man that she would stay on the island for good. The man looked at her back, and the rising sun. He came to the raft, which was not quite finished. He touched it and began to feel a tangle inside. A storm at sea had washed him to this island. He was able to survive, but he was bound to it like a cage. So the man has always wanted to leave, but now a woman's presence makes him feel this is a warm island, so he can say goodbye to the past without a second thought. It was a moment of freedom to let go of his obsession. The man suddenly realized. He realized that he was imprisoned by his own heart, and not this island. The woman saw his decision and swam over to him, to communicate with him. The man was delighted like never before. He followed his figure to a small island. The woman skillfully picks up oysters from the rocks, and plucked them for food. Looking at the man in a daze, the redhead offered him a piece. The man blames himself for his violence. The woman looked at him with a downcast expression, as if she understood what he was thinking. She touched the man's face as if to comfort him, as if to express her love. Then the woman stood up and walked with him to the island, through the woods, to the flowery meadow. Two men, two paths, two figures, and finally, they intertwined. It wasn't long before they had a love child on this lonely island. She gave birth to a boy with red hair. The boy's arrival brought them much joy. As the sun set, the family walks hand in hand on the beach, enjoying the happiness of their family. The boy has already learned to walk. He's at an age when he's curious about everything. He watched his parents drying animal furs, and looked into the distance with nothing to do. Suddenly he saw a bottle floating in the distance. At that moment, he had never touched water before. He was even a little scared, but out of curiosity about the unknown object, after a few attempts, the boy got the bottle. He was so happy that he brought it to his mom. He wanted to ask her what it was. His mother showed him how to use it. The boy plays with the bottle as his mother does. He thinks it's amazing. Then the man asks the boy to come over, and told him through a drawing. They live on an isolated island, and that across the sea there was another world. And then, the mother drew a red sea turtle in the center. She tells the boy that she used to be a turtle, because she met his father. So she stayed here. The boy knew what they had been through. He began to love the feeling of being hit by the waves, and with the protection of his family, he was no longer afraid, and it made him want to go to the other side of the ocean. The woman is picking wild vegetables from the cliff face. A mischievous child runs to the edge of the cliff. He looked down curiously at the bottom of the sea. He spotted a giant sea turtle. He wanted to get closer. A flock of seagulls swept past him. him. The boy fell into the rocks. The couple heard their son's cries for help and ran to him. In the middle of a huge rock, it's a deep ditch that connects to the sea. The man tries to jump in to save his son, but his wife stops him, because she knows the boy was born to swim, so she gestured for him to dive in. He swam up through the rocks at the bottom of the sea. The boy dug his way through the rocks. He was about to swim to the surface when he saw the turtle, but now he had to swim up to get his breath, and then dive back down to see this huge monster. Maybe the boy's mother was a Red Sea turtle, so the boy feels very close to him. On the shore, the father can't wait to dive in. As the boy emerges again, the father manages to bring him back to the island. Night, the red-haired woman held her sleeping child in her arms, looking at the moon over the sea. She had a strong feeling that the little boy might have to leave when he grows up. In the blink of an eye, it's fall. The boy can now help his father with his work, and in the process, he would tease him, and the men, in turn, would amuse him, chasing him around the heath, although they were the only family on this lonely island. But the boy's journey was filled with laughter. The best part was the daily excursions. That's where he and his old friend used to meet. Now he has a partner of his own. To fit in, the boy would swim just like them, and he wouldn't go home until nightfall, and the excitement inside him would never let up. On this day, the couple went to the sea early in the morning. The boy quickly picked up a basket full of scallops. He picked up a bottle and went to get some water to drink. As soon as he left, something happened to the sea. The seagulls were squawking. The sea quickly receded. By now, the boy had already reached the woods. The man seemed to notice something strange. He dropped his work and began to wonder at the sights. Huge shoals of deep-sea fish surfaced on the beach. Flocks of seagulls flew in the direction of the forest. Suddenly, the ground shook strongly, and there was a rumbling sound. The wife turned around and saw in the distance, a white wall is coming this way. All signs point to a tsunami. She immediately grabbed her husband's hand and ran. The man is stunned by the sight of a 100-meter high wave. His wife turned back and pulled him with her. The boy was supposed to be in the safest place, but he chose to run back to protect his family. When he came out of the bamboo forest, the wave was so high that it was right in front of him. He had no choice but to run back to the bamboo forest. Humans are so small in the face of natural disasters. In an instant, the sea destroyed the bamboo forest. The boy clung to the bamboo, but the wave took him away. In just a few seconds, the island was washed away. When everything calmed down, the boy crawled out of a pile of bamboo. Thanks to the bamboo, he was safe and sound. He looked at the puddle and the broken bamboo. He looked around for his family, but no matter where he went, he found no trace of them. He thought of climbing to the highest rock and looked down, but all he could see was a horrible sight. The boy became more and more anxious. He ran and shouted. After searching for who knows how long, he finally saw his mother in a ditch. The woman stroked her son and told him she was all right. Then she pointed to the sea. She told her son to save his father. The boy looked at his mother's bleeding leg. He fought back tears and offered warmth. Then he summoned his friends to help him find his father. It's not easy to find someone in the sea. Suddenly, he saw a piece of bamboo in front of him. He swam quickly, thinking his father was there, but his cries were not answered. It was late at night. The chances of his father surviving were slim, but the boy doesn't give up. Soon the boy's strength is running out, so he's forced to rely on the turtles to drag him along. In the endless sea, the boy finally sees hope. The man floats on the water with his only bamboo pole. With the last of his strength, he greets his son. The boy quickly swims with the turtle. Then he drags his father to the surface again. Finally, the boy brings his father back with the help of the turtles. The wife, seeing her father and son, she runs towards the shore with her injured leg, and then they hugged each other tightly. The family is grateful that the disaster didn't separate them, and this experience also made the couple realize their son has grown up. He was fully capable of living on his own. It wasn't long before the family went back to their old life. In order to live on the island, they needed to pick up all the broken bamboo, and then stack them in a pile, and then burn them in a fire. The fire is a farewell to the past. The red glow of the fire is the hope for the future. That day the boy went to the pool to drink. By chance, he found the glass bottle from his childhood. Once again, the boy picked up the dream he once had. It was a longing for the other side of the sea. He wondered what he would see if he swam across the sea. For him, the sea was a high wall, protecting them, but also binding them. But more than anything, he wanted to explore the unknown. Suddenly, the boy woke up and realized it was all a dream. But the dream was exactly how she felt. He was walking alone on the beach. The man saw his son was still awake and followed him. The bamboo forest at night was like a cage. The boy was trapped. The man's shadow was like one of the masts. The boy also felt bound to it. That night he didn't return on time. Instead, he sat on a cliff and looked out to sea. Finally, he decided to tell his family. He was leaving the island. The woman had already sensed her son's feelings, but she couldn't let him go. Even if she didn't want to, she couldn't stop her son from growing up. This night, the mother's hand could no longer hold her son's hand completely. like a seabird in the night sky. It will learn to fly on its own someday. The next day, the boy picked up his bags and hugged his family goodbye. They watched his back as he left. Their hearts were filled with an indescribable feeling. Maybe in the future, the boy will have a family and children of his own. He'll be able to understand his parents' hearts. If their eyesight is long enough, they'll always look at their son. Since the son left, the woman was not happy for a long time. A careful man can see what she's thinking. He snuggled up next to her and soothed her heart. Over time, and they got used to it, swimming in the sea together at sunrise. The simple life went by in no time. The man had gray hair by now, but his wife hadn't changed over the years, because he knew that the woman was actually a Red Sea turtle. He often sat on the cliff, expecting to see his son again, but he never did. A man and his wife dancing on the beach at sunset, enjoying the last days of their lives. Night. The man looks at the full moon over the sea. He has come to the end of his life. The wife is reluctant to let her husband go, so she stays by his side. As she touched his hand, her body turned into a red turtle. Now she had to leave her husband and swim to the first sea.